Hello and good evening. Very warm welcome to all the participants on the fourth day of 7 days Executive Development Program, which is the seventh batch in the series of this initiative, which started on April 21st. My sincere gratitude to ICAI President C.A. Nehar Jambusarya, ICAI Vice President C.A. Dr. Devashish Mitra, ICAI Acting Secretary C.A. Dr. Jaikumar Batrasa, and all Central Council members of ICAI. This program is an initiative of Committee for Members in Industry and Business under the leadership of C.A. Hansraj Chugh sir, Chairman of the Committee, and Vice Chairman C.A. Durgesh Kabra sir. Under the vision of Durgesh sir and Chugh sir, we have completed 6 batches, and all the programs and sessions which have happened are available on the recorded webcast area and also on ICAI Tube channel. Today we will be having 2 sessions from C.A. Naveen, who is based out of Dubai, and the second session by C.A. Singar Raju, who is based out of Doha. So today, and we have here Secretary of the Committee, Dr. Mr. Ranganathanji. And let me introduce our speaker, C.A. Naveen Ashmera. C.A. Naveen is a consultant, trainer, and specialist in Microsoft Power BI, having his own practice in business intelligence and analytics space. Innovative thinker with a proven track record of 25 years diverse industry experience in various finance and business roles, driving business intelligence, strategic planning, and imperative insights through data-driven analytics, and passionate about every element of data analytics that ranges between data and information. He helps business in developing real-time business data models, in automation of complete business reporting, creating interactive, insightful dashboard and visualization, solving real-world business problems by analyzing data using Power BI. Naveen is a very passionate Power BI man in Dubai, and he has helped many members in this part of the region and also students to develop their knowledge on the subject. Thank you, Naveen, for agreeing to be a speaker in this series and coming here to share your knowledge on Power BI. I'm sure the passion which will be driven by your session today will be making a significant difference in the lives of our young members who are either watching live or will be watching it later. So with this, I hand it over to you and request all our participants to please give a big virtual round of applause to Naveen. And Naveen, the screen is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabdeep, for the kind introduction. Let me first thank you to the Committee of Members in Industry and Business, CMIB of ICAI, the Chairman of CMIB, Mr. Hansraj Chugh, Vice Chairman, C.A. Durgesh Kabra, and all the committee members, the leadership of ICAI, who are doing wonderful job. I'm member now 27 years. So I fully acknowledge and fully appreciate the kind of effort Institute is making. The size has grown in terms of members. The workload of each of the committee member, I can fully understand the kind of event they are doing, the knowledge sharing and many more things. So they are really it is really appreciable. And thanks to you, Prabdeep, as well. Prabdeep is my contact in Dubai, and somewhere we started this ICAI initiative, the GMCS courses. I took an initiative, approached him, I think in the year 2016, if I'm not wrong. And what I was doing in my day-to-day work, learning these new tools, I thought of sharing that knowledge with other members. So Prabdeep was the one who I approached him and he took that initiative, got some approval from the ICAI Delhi office. And nowadays we do regular MCS courses. So almost about 13 to 14 MCS courses I've done in the last 5 years. And I hope that benefit has, a lot of members got benefit out of that. Few of them keep in touch with me, learning more or doing, more different things on the same tool. So I'm really happy to be on this platform now. reaching in this current, pandemic time, we are in a kind of a blessing in disguise where I was just doing 10, 15 people here in Dubai MCS courses. And this session going live to many members who just in last 2, 3 years got qualified. So thank you very much once again. My introduction, as Pradeep said, I'm a chartered accountant by profession. So whatever in today's session we are going to learn, it will be though on the data analytics or some tool called Power BI, but just don't get bogged down by any sort of IT or technology, because we all use technology day in, day out in our routine work nowadays, right? But the comfort, what you should get from my particular session of today is I was an average Excel user in 2010, right? Below average, I would say, considering when I see the work people are doing on Excel these days, and compared to that, I was below average Excel user in 2010. But fortunately, call it timing or, whatever it was, I was trying to find out what is data modeling tool available for a business user. And I got to know about a tool called Power Pivot. Yeah, that was in Excel. And many of you might not even heard till now. And now this is 10 years we are talking about, 2010, 11 and 21 we are in. And still people don't know about these tools. So sometimes it surprises me, sometimes it bothers me, sometimes it is like a pain when I see people working the way they do in Excel, manual working and all that. I try to spread that awareness, and that's where, all these knowledge sharing session and other things. For me, it was a passion. It was a need of the hour when I was working on data to do all sort of analytics in my position as a CFO. Learning these tools helped me and completely changed my life. So that was in 2011, 10, 11 in Excel. Power Pivot was the tool. And then Microsoft introduced another tool called Power Query in 2013, right? Again, when I asked this question in many of the session, as of today, many of the people are not aware. At least some of them are getting aware, some of them are learning. So Power Query is a tool of data transformation. When I say data transformation, you will relate to it what data transformation means. Every chartered accountant, every finance guy, or every data guy, be it a salesperson, be it an HR person, if they are having some sort of a data, and I think in today's world, data is, one of the most important commodity, right, for businesses. If you don't use your data, then means you are not doing justice to your business. So everyone uses the data, but the problem with data come from different systems, from your ERP system, from your CRM system, or social media, or any if you are into a different kind of business, your IoTs gives you the data. So lot many data, but how do you use it? So first thing, when you get the data, your responsibility is to have a clean data, which is the biggest problem in today's world, that everyone has the data, but the data is not clean. So the data transformation is the term used for reshaping or cleansing the data, right? So in Excel, to give you an example, you dump some data from different sources, right? It may be your ERP, or it may be getting data from some other sources. And then you do a lot of cleansing work. So removing some duplicates, removing blank rows. You will have some headers which is not coming correct. The data type is always an issue. You change the data type. Right before you start writing any formula, all this task, what you do is called data transformation. And think of your own daily routine. If you are spending good amount of time on Excel, how much time you spend on doing all these tasks, right? And I hate this. And even people who are doing these work, they don't like doing this on a regular basis. Whatever your data frequency is, if you're doing some daily reporting on daily basis, you do this. Today you got data for 13th of July, you will do that transformation again. Tomorrow you get 14th July. So likewise. So people do this and spend, 80, 90% of their time in data transformation, which is again not a, good thing to have some repetitive or manual task doing, mundane task on day-to-day basis, rather than adding some value to your organization by doing more on analytics side. So the Power Query is the tool in Excel 2013 was introduced, and that is what it does is it allows you to automate all your routine tasks, what I have just now mentioned. Yeah, there was only few example I gave, but you can imagine 99% of your routine Excel task, what you do, you can use Power Query, you can learn Power Query, use Power Query and automate it completely. So your 6 hours Excel task may become just 6-minute task, right? So initially, yes, learning and relatively the tool is easy, and I'll give you some demo now where you will see that how easy it is to learn and at least make good use of automation within Excel or Power BI. Then 2015, Microsoft introduced Power BI, and these two tools which I just mentioned, Power Pivot and Power Query, got integrated into Power BI, right? So my learning, which was there since 2011, just got transferred to Power BI, and I need not to spend much time learning Power BI. Yes, there are much more beyond the Excel, Excel capabilities. Power BI is much more capable in terms of the visualization, in terms of collaboration, in terms of security, in terms of many other things, especially enterprise level, large level project when we do. Power BI is much more heavier tool than Excel. Right, so this is how my journey started. So as I said, I'm still an average Excel user. I don't use Excel anymore. But coming from Excel background, not knowing much about databases or IT and all that, but having passion about data, and we all have passion about data. Being in whatever industry, we all need to do analysis, right? And I think not only our industry as a finance professional, but anywhere I go and I see people from different domain, different functionality, they are using some sort of a data analysis tool or mostly Excel, right? So this is where these tools come handy. So what I'll do is I'm just going to start sharing my screen, and let me start sharing the screen. So today's topic is excelling with Power BI, right? Now, two messages in the topic itself, excelling with Power BI. So in a sense, you're doing a lot of work on Excel. You can still continue doing that in Excel, learning these new techniques, what I just mentioned in my brief introduction about Power BI. And then if you do that with Power BI, you can excel in your workplace, right? You can become an instant hero using Power BI, and you will completely get into it. We will do, much more demo, and we'll give you much more insight about the tool. So the appropriate topic, excelling with Power BI in both terms. So let me jump to the next screen. And this is, by the way, what you are seeing is not a PowerPoint presentation. This itself is on Power BI. Yeah, this is a static slide, but still I don't use even PowerPoint. And you will realize why I'm saying that I don't use Power BI. When you see some of the demo of mine, you will see that Power BI is data with PowerPoint, right? So everything, interactive reports and many more features what you have in terms of visualization is much more powerful. So your routine life, before I go to the demo part, what you do in today's world while you're working on Excel. So you have Excel as data source or your ERP data sources. And when you have Excel as data source, you need to do some data cleansing. You need to create a single table using your VLOOKUP and other formula and bring all that in single flat file, right? To create so this is the routine way of doing the presentation. You go to your meeting and with your PowerPoint presentation. Now imagine of this that you are dealing with a large corporate where you have multiple division, multiple offices, multiple geography, region and all that. And that presentation, if you are doing it, the overview page, the front page would be showing a consolidated number. But when you need to go into detail, someone asks you a question about a particular region, you will flip the slides and you will go to different slide to give the presentation about that region, geography or whatever the other dimension you may have, right? So your presentation may be about 50 slides, 100 slides, whatever number, depending on the dimension and the reports you have. Think of this. In Power BI, the same 50, 100-pager PowerPoint presentation I can do in 2, 3, 4, 5 pages, right? And we'll see those kind of reports. So let me start first with the first demo. I'll just jump to another screen of mine. So the first demo which I'm doing is on financial reporting. Right? On financial reporting, usually we do all sort of financial reporting from overview income statement to the balance sheet or cash flow, then going into detail of your receivable, payable or sales analysis or these kind of things, right? Now this is a report on Power BI. The data source was the SQL Server or the databases or ERP system. It can be anything, and we'll see when I do an actual practical example when I'll show, and you will see that how you connect to different data sources. Right. So here what we are seeing is a report being created on the front page. So this is like landing page of your report presentation. You start your presentation. Here it is giving you a link of income statement. So I click on income statement. It take me to the income statement, where you see a nice visualization with all sort of KPIs, which usually we present in our financial reporting, from YTD number to quarter to date number, or the profits or the gross profit margin or net profit margin, plus the other KPIs, EBITDA, or depending on what you present, but the data source remain the same, which is basically in this case the GL transaction of your GL transaction abstract you are bringing in, and then creating the report in Power BI, right? But the beauty of this is completely interactive. When you click on certain things, the whole number will change, the whole visual and chart will change and give you the number based on your selection, right? So here I have this data till the month of June 2018. I say, oh, I'm interested only in quarter one. So when I select quarter one, automatically that get filtered out for Jan, Feb, March. All the other visuals and the number on the dashboard or the report, you see all have changed. Now it is showing just the March number. On top of this particular visualization or particular page, I have these 5 different division or 6 different division in this particular organization, right? So when I'm not selecting anything, that means I'm presenting a consolidated report. But if someone asks me to present for a particular organization, I select that organization, the same KPI, same number, same chart, same visuals get filtered for that particular selection and give me the number. So I'm making the use of the slicers and the filters and the cross filtering available in Power BI using data model and other techniques and creating these visualizations, right? Then at the bottom, you see I have given the slicer. So currently I'm seeing revenue and the analysis variance within the revenue. So revenue and variance with budget. So all these numbers at the bottom are showing me revenue. But if I select EBITDA here, moment I change that, all these number now showing me the EBITDA number over there. Likewise, if I can select net profit. So in a single page, any question which is being asked by my audience I'm presenting to, I can answer, right? It is still kind of an overview page and it's still kind for demo purpose. It's still a very, very neat, clean, brief report. But beyond that, you can go much more into detail on different pages, right? So this was like a overview page. You can slice and dice the way you want. You select wherever, and easy to use report, right? Even a novice who doesn't know Excel, who doesn't know anything, when he reads these numbers, this is like an app you download in today's world on your iPhone or mobile phone, any app, and in 3 seconds you know how to use it. So these are the report, that kind of report you give the user interface and the presentation, and the using the report is quite easy in this case, where the Excel report will not be that user friendly in terms of many people who don't use Excel. PowerPoint report would not be covering all this in single page, right? For this report, you might require at least six pages here, what you are seeing for 6 different companies, right? Let me jump to the next page, which would be receivables, right? So we all do as a finance people, as a new chartered accountant, you are entering into the corporate world or even whatever you are doing. or for that matter, even the senior chartered accountants or senior finance professional, it is their responsibility to do all these kind of reporting, right? So receivable reporting is very important for each of the organizations. What you are seeing again, completely interactive report. I'm not selecting anything, the whole group consolidation number I'm showing here, which is saying me the total receivable is this, the DSO receivable days are these, unbilled receivable, another thing. And how the movement of receivable is happening in the first 6 months, which I selected here. January, I would have started at 215 million. I made this much invoice collection. So this is receivable movement effectively. So if I select quarter one only, again, the same thing will happen, that it will show me only Jan, Feb, March. The aging changes and everything changes, including a single customer I select here. So it become like a ledger account for me, right? On the same report, now I'm looking at the single particular customer, that how he has fared, what is his KPI as far as receivable is concerned. Think of these, how easy it is to use and means to use these report, and these are completely live report in a sense. When you connect to your databases or the data source, you're getting these number online, right? So you're not making any manual effort to do these reports. Rather, these reports are being used for getting more insight, taking right decision at the right time, and making good use of analytics much beyond this, right? So this is for demo purpose. I repeat again, what I'm showing you is more of a demo report, but beyond this, much more capability within Power BI doing analytics, right? So this was my first demo. I'll do one more demo before I jump to my next slide. It's called sales report or sales dashboard, usually the term being used dashboard, but in Power BI report and dashboards are two different things. Maybe I'll cover later if the time permits. But this is again a report, sales report or sales dashboard. What you are seeing again, these kind of numbers or KPI, usually every business would have, depending on what kind of business you are in. But most of the businesses, YTD number comparing with last year's, MTD number comparing with the previous month or previous year, same month. These kind of comparison variances and other thing what you do. At the same time, your revenue number come from different dimensions. So dimension, when I talk about, it can be customer, your salesperson who bring the business for you, the category of the customer or geography of the customer, all that only you do the presentation, or to slice dice and to get to know that which particular sector or which particular customer or which particular salesperson doing better or doing worse, to look at his performance. Now in this report, again, if I select a single customer, right, I'm selecting a single customer, everything on those reports or the KPI cards and the visuals, everything you see now for that customer on the tooltip is another feature in Power BI, which gives you much more detail about the numbers over there. So I need not to populate or, use the data level to do all those crappy kind of charts and reports. Rather, using the tooltip, any user who just hover around it can read the numbers on the tooltip. And I'm seeing that this customer come from which particular geography and which particular salesperson who is dealing with that customer. Likewise, I can select any salesperson and do the same thing for the salesperson. So let me select this time the salesperson. So if I select a salesperson, the salesperson, how he fared as far as his performance is concerned, everything look green. He's trending higher compared to the last 2 years, so everything is fine there. So these kind of, again, coming back to that in single page, what you are looking at, different dimension of these kind of report on your PowerPoint, imagine yourself how many pages you would, right? I jump to the next page on the same, which is gross margin analysis, right? So as a finance person, you might be responsible for these kind of report, or might not be. Many a time sales people or operational people are doing these kind of report. But again, ultimately it all boils down to the finance department to do many more analytics, right? So here on this particular page, what we are seeing is the product level margin analysis of this particular report organization. They deal in different kind of product categories. They have overall margin of 36%. The revenue is being made this much. These many customer they deal with, and these many product they sell to their customer. And again, here gross margin. So if I select on a particular category, everything will boil down to that. And if I select an individual product, that will go down to the product level, right? So again, coming back to the same thing, in single page, you can have as much information as available. Now you might be wondering, Naveen, you're showing us all this, you are an expert, you can make it, but can we learn, or what we can do using Power BI? So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to start with the second slide over here. I'm keeping these messages over here just to make some relevance because you had many other sessions where a lot of talk about your personal development, communication skill, presentation skill, which is a must in today's world, right? So becoming a chartered accountant is not everything, right? You need to learn many of other soft skills. So always I say never stop learning, right? So what we are learning in today's session is Power BI, which is a complete new tool for many of you, or some of you might have used it or heard about it or learned about it, right? So rather than doing just the talk, I'll just take you walk the talk, right? And we'll do, so that to give you a comfort level, that tool is easy to start with. Yes, it is having much more advanced capability, which you will spend time, practice, and learn more about it. If it make your life easier, why not, right? So never stop learning. And I've done almost many training sessions, roughly about 450 plus people in the last 5-6 years, and ranging from age group from 20 to 55-60 age group, right? So there is no time, there is no age bar to learn something new, and especially in today's technology world, it becomes more important to keep ourselves updated with the new technology, right? So let me now start with a practical exercise of Power BI. I've already opened a Power BI desktop here. It is free download tool, by the way. You search for Power BI desktop download and you will go to Microsoft Store website, and there you can download it, right? So completely free tool. What I'm going to show you, you can start doing it today, downloading the free tool. You're not spending any time there and downloading this free tool, right? And if you look at the tool, what I'm going to do, rather than describing everything, I'll keep it quick for the time's sake. So I'm going here, connecting the data sources. You see there are many data sources. My focus is currently on one Excel file where I'm keeping a data file over here, and I'm bringing that into Power BI, right? So Power BI as such, within the tool, you don't have anything. It is a software, right? You need to bring in data to create something. Just like an Excel file, when you open an Excel file, if nothing is there, you either fetch in data from some sources or you write the data over there. So here, these are the 4 sheets I had in that Excel file. I'm bringing that, having some sales data, product data, geography, and date table. And I'm hitting this transform data button over there, which take me to Power Query, the tool which I mentioned in the introduction about Power BI, right? So this is the first tool we are going to see. It is going into Power Query, and Power Query is a data transformation tool. So I'll quickly do a couple of transformation just to make you aware that what transformation means and how easy it is using Power Query and learning Power Query, right? So this is the tool, the window opens, says Power Query Editor, right? In this, there are many features over there. I'll not describe, but do quickly a few of them. So I have these 4 tables which become now query. On the right side, there are applied step. Automatically things happens. And whenever I do something by right clicking or by clicking any button like removing duplicate, removing blank rows, or whatever other transformation which you do normally in Excel, you will do all that by either right clicking or using the button, using the interface over there. Right? Without writing a single formula, you will be able to do most of your data transformation tasks. So that's where it becomes easy, but many features there, someone need to invest time to learn and practice it, right? So what I'm doing is, in the date table, I have a column called month, which is having a mid-month date, which is of no use. Don't want it in my data, right? So I simply right click, and on right click, you will see many options there, which normally we use on day-to-day basis. I'm saying remove this column, and it simply created a step over here, which says remove column, and that column is gone from my end result, not from my source, because source is still there in the previous step. In the geography table, I have a column called city, but that city is having a concatenate value of the city, state, and the country. You see here New York, NY is the state, and USA is the country. I need a separate column, so we do a lot of text and text cleansing in our Excel, splitting data and other kind of formula you might be using, doing all that manual. Here I'm going to use again the button. I go to the transform button. There is a button called extract, and I say I just want a text before delimiter. Delimiter is comma in this case. After New York, you see the comma there, and it asks me what is the delimiter, and I say that the comma is there, and I just click on that, and it clean that. It remove the other element of that because I already have New York and region over there. So automatically I got my column clean here, right? So this is another transformation I did. Rest of the data look clean, nothing much I need to do. The other thing is the data type, which is very important whenever we work on Excel or any other tool. Data type. So the tool take care. It says change type. Date become date, the number become number, likewise text become text. So here that was simple data cleansing. There are many more to it. So this is Power Query, right? So when you start learning, you will get to know that how many functionality available. Almost everything what you do in Excel manually, you can do just clicking the button over here and it become automated. So when we talk about automation, automation is not just that doing things again and again, but not doing things again and again, right? So here, whatever I did, next time, if I am having more data into my source file, which is that Excel file which I brought into Power BI, if I add more data to it, I need not to do any of these steps. I simply come here and say refresh button, it will bring in the new data. So that is where the automation we talk about, right? From here, I go to the next tool within Power BI, which is called data model, or in Excel, it is called Power Pivot. So I say close and apply. And I quickly come to this data model, which the data will load here, and you will see the data model here. So data is loading now into data model, right? So this is the second tool in Power BI or in Excel. Excel, it is known as Power Pivot. So if you Google or if you search, you will find Power Pivot and you will be able to understand what Power Pivot is. But that is a term used in Excel. Here it is called data model. When I brought in here, the data model may be a complete new concept for many of us Excel users, right? In Excel, you don't have anything called data model. We always use a single sheet from where we create our report, pivot table and pivot charts. But here you see all those 4 different tables, and I go to the data model view here, and I quickly see that there is a relationship I need to create here, which is already being created in few cases. But in one of the table, and I still see that in my sales table in Excel, there was some blank columns, right? I forgot to remove that. I can go back to my Power Query and clean that, and that need to be done once only. But before I go to that, I'm just going to create a relationship between date to date. And here you see already a relationship is being created between the zip code, which is the location code in geography table, and in product table, there was a product ID. So these are the master tables. This is for the stores. It is a retail store locations in this particular table. Product table is product master table. So each product would have a product ID, and with that, you will have different kind of characteristics or attributes linked to that product ID, right? Same way in the date table, I'll have the date, and then I have month and quarter. So let me first go back to the query again, because I need to remove those additional column which is having no value in it. So I come back to the query, and again this is data transformation, so I'll repeat that very powerful tool, very easy tool to learn, but somewhere someone need to start. So in sales table, I just need these 5 columns. The rest of the columns which is showing column 6, column 7 is not my requirement. I say remove other column this time, and those column got removed, right? And I again close and apply. So whatever I did, automatically this step got created, and next time I need not to do all these things. Now my data model is ready, right? Now using this data model, the third part is the visualization. Once you make the relationship between your data using those ID columns, so relationship is something if you are completely new or you know Excel, so you can do your VLOOKUP, right? So the way you do VLOOKUP, you connect different data files and bring everything in one table, right? Whereas here in data model, you don't do VLOOKUP. You keep everything separate table, and this is called data model. And you join that table, those tables, using the relationship between the IDs in those unique tables and the transaction table. So that's what I did. And from here onwards, I start creating the report, right? So the report part is the visualization part, quite effective, quite useful, and quite, there are AI features which will go through. So what I did basically is I already created some of the reports. So I'll just jump to that report for the sake of time. So this is the output report, and I'll do one or two visuals over here. Before I do that, let me go to my next slide. I have some messages to convey, right? Here, using Power BI is one. So you never get a second chance to make your first impression. I always follow this advice for a long time. So whenever I'm going somewhere to my client or meeting someone first time, I try to impress him with my skill set or whatever I know about, not to fake, right? So give you another example. You post something on the Insta or Facebook or LinkedIn or social media anywhere, right? Most of the time when we see someone else posted something, at the very first look, you like something, oh, the picture is good, the message is good, and you immediately liked it, right? Whereas sometimes you may think, shall I like it or not, right? So that first impression is very important. Now, Power BI is going to help you as a new entrant in the industry or in your career to make a complete different impression of how the data analytics work or the word of storytelling, visualization, and all that, right? And you will see in the remaining part of my session, right? So I will highly recommend that at this stage, if you start learning this, you will be in much better position in terms of your making first impression, right? So let me jump to the real report. So this is the same data or the same report what I shown you in other one. This is exactly the same thing what we have seen. And if you see here, the data model is the same data model, but I created the visual and created these report. Again, these are completely interactive report, the way I've given the demo in the earlier part of my session. You see that the report are completely interactive. There are tooltips which give you much more information about other things on the same visual. And map chart, other visualization, and report looks good, right? Again, it is a very basic from my standard or from that matter from any other standard. But what I'm going to show you next is that there are a lot of AI feature within Power BI, right? How do you make use of it? So my next message is the harder and smarter you work, the luckier you will get. Now, hard work, there is no substitute to hard work, right? Even learning Power BI, initial part would be easy, but when you get into more complex or when you get into more advanced analytics, it becomes hard. You need to spend a good amount of time. And I can tell you my story some other time, but it was a very hard journey, starting from nowhere and reaching where I am today, serving large client here in Dubai and doing training sessions for many organizations. Right? So the harder you work, the smarter, harder and smarter. So this is a combination. Every time you need not to be just doing hard work, you need to be smart as well, using technology, right? And that's where Power BI can make you smart. And I'm going to give you now some AI feature which will really make you smart when you present it to someone. First impression you are going to make. You are going to say that you are smarter than them, and then automatically you get luckier. So without the hard work, without being smart, you will not get luckier, right? So let's jump to the smart part of Power BI. It's called, the first feature which I'm going to show you is called native query language Q&A. So like you go in Google, you search something, you type in the search box, and it automatically start getting populated some of the queries. You started something Power BI and it will give you Power BI desktop download. I don't know how it understands, but the algorithm work behind that. Exactly the similar kind of algorithm here we will see, not exactly, but based on the data model what we have. And let me give you a quick demo here. I'm on my new page. And here I do, this is called Q&A. I go to this visual called Q&A. And the moment I put this on the report page, it started creating some question answer here. Let me first make the background white. If I change the background over here. Okay, so what it did, it populated some of the question automatically, right? Based on my data, the data model I have, sales table, product table, geography and all that. Now I can start writing the question here. So I say top 5 product by sales YTD. So I have something called sales YTD here. So I'm asking it to give me top 5 product for sales YTD, and this become my report. I just add it to my report page and I immediately get an answer that which are the top 5 product within my data model, which are top 5 revenue making product, right? How easy it is. Think of this. Neither I went to create a visual, nor I drag and drop any kind of a number or field over here, and it just gave me the answer, just simply writing that question over here, right? I can do much more beyond this. This was just a glance. So this is where I am saying those AI feature, which is almost part of our day-to-day technology in today's world. And we keep seeing keep hearing about AI, but real use of this in Power BI, you will find it truly magical using this particular feature, right? So I go to the next feature, which is called Q&A was the one. Let me from here. So Power BI, once you create these report on your free tool, at the end of it, you need to require to share it with your other users, right? Other user can be your higher management, your colleagues, your subordinates and all that. So that's where you want to share it with them, where they can make use of these data and the report as well. So how do you do that? For that, the license version of Power BI come into the picture. So I am already having my license, and that I publish this report to my cloud version with the license version. So I've already published that. So let me jump to that published report. So I come to my next slide before I go to the published report. Be someone that your colleagues want to work with. This is another advice and how Power BI can help. You already seen one magical aspect of it, right? How quickly you can create a report, just bring in the data, start writing question, native query language question, and you start building the report. When you show it to your colleague, they will be really surprised to see it, right? But beyond that, in your career, whenever you are going to progress in your career, what you need to learn about that your importance is only when you are creating value for others, right? And you are doing something different than others are doing, or your way of working is much more smarter than others, right? So people will approach you every time. People would like to be in your company. You need not to be just finance guy, because finance guy is normally treated as a boring people. Let me tell you from my experience. But I was never bored, or I was never being called as a not interesting person for whatever reason. Now using Power BI is one of the aspect or skill set which I learned in last 10 years. So in my previous work or even today's with the clients, everyone like to see my work. So this is my advice, that do something, learn something new, which make you smarter and which make you different from other people, right? And your colleague want to be with you, that every time they approach you for some help or something. So let's jump to the cloud version of my reporting. So here I am. Sorry. So I quickly go to my cloud account, which is Office 365, the Power BI license sits there, and I open that. I open my Power BI account over there. So this is cloud experience of Power BI. And you will see some of the feature which I'm going to show you now, AI feature. The performance report was the name of the report, which I already published, and it is showing here. I open this report here. So lot many enterprise level feature in Power BI cloud account. So here I have those pages on the report. So I click on 2016 performance report. And this is the same report what we were seeing earlier. And you have the same chart over there, right? Beyond this, I have few more pages where I have more deeper analytics. So one feature which I want to show you again, making yourself much more value addition in terms of, the report creation. So here we have a chart which says 2015, this data is March, April, and the filter was for the year 2016. Now, if you look at the numbers, in the March, I had a number of 4.729, and that has gone down to 4.646 in the month of April, right? Now, this report is just giving me that information that you are down by 1.7%. But what is the reason of going down, right? Either I do a lot of variance analysis, write a lot of formula and get to know that where the fall is coming from. But in Power BI, you have a feature called AI driven again, analyze, explain the decrease. So the AI or algorithm which is being built into the tool automatically recognizes between those two data point, March and April, or I selected April, so the previous data point, it recognizes that there is a fall compared to March in April, and it says explain the decrease. If there is an increase, it will say explain the increase. So I say explain the decrease. The moment I click on that, I get a good amount of insight about this 1.75% decrease in my revenue, right? And you will see all the dimension which I had in my model, including the state, which was in the geography table, including the region, including your other dimension, manufacturer, the product, any dimension, right? It is giving me a good insight that where your fall is coming from. So a complete automated AI driven feature, you need not to do any formula writing, you need not to do anything. If I want to highlight this in my report, let's say here I want to say state-wise, this report I want to highlight in my add in my report, I can simply add this to my report. If I'm in edit mode, I can simply, which I have actually added. So let me go to the second page where I have these kind of visuals already being created. So this is the page here, and let me take this into the full screen mode. These are the feature, these are the visuals which is being created using the same feature what I have just now shown you, right? So quite again very handy AI driven features. There are many more features, and Microsoft keep adding, the Power BI keep updating every month. And I'm always surprised to see sometime when these kind of features comes, it make life of people like us much more easier who are not into the data science or who doesn't know the coding and all that. But it is coding without any code, what we are seeing here, the report, AI without code, right? So this is now my second page. Now beyond this, before I jump to that, let me look at the slide as well. So my next slide says the message I want to convey is, sorry. Do what is required from ordinary to the extraordinary to get the job done, right? Now we all are having our skill set, which is fine, right? But to become an expert, become an extraordinary, you need to do much more hard work, much more practice, right? So, but once you are in a different league, you know what that means is, right? And nowadays the technology, the way technology is improving, the way technology is updating on a daily basis, if we don't keep updated ourselves with the new development in technology, we are far behind, right? So to become from ordinary to extraordinary, you need to learn those new things. You need to learn those new techniques. So the next, which I'm showing on the Power BI report, is exactly talking about other AI features, making you extraordinary from ordinary, right? So here I have all this analysis, which is saying that your revenue is down compared to last year, 15 and 16, whatever period you are comparing. And it is giving you again an overview by manufacturer, by segment, by state. But beyond that, I need to further go into detail. So let's say here, this manufacturer brand called Van Arstel, or let's look at this California state, which has fallen by 1.9 million number. When I right click on this, I get a drill through feature and I go to the next page where I have another AI driven visualization called decomposition tree, right? And what do you see here? Let me close everything for time being here and quickly give you a demo that what I was talking about, these kind of features make you from ordinary to extraordinary, right? Learning this, making those, yes, learning and practice and that you need to do certainly. So 1.9 million was the number on my front page visualization where I said the California state is down by this. Right now, the AI driven feature within this decomposition tree allows me to find out that what is making a significant contribution to this negative figure. So I select this low value. So this bulb icon is being given, that is AI driven. Automatically, it will bring in that what is the most significant value, significant dimension, which is bringing down your revenue by 1.9 million in California state. So I click on low value. And it gives me that within California state, you have San Diego City, which is going down by most. And then I can do this analysis further, going further low value and doing the similar kind of analysis. I can keep drilling it and bringing all the element which is impacting my negative variance in that. So I have product, I have city, I have zip code, which is the location, and then I can keep going on. So whatever number of dimension or you would have, everything will be brought in down within the same chart, right? So these kind of analysis, which is called root cause analysis, which is very helpful, finding out the root cause of any problem in your organization or in your data or in any KPIs of the business, right? So this was another feature. And there's one more last feature which I want to highlight, again AI driven. It's called anomaly detection. Right, so I have this visualization here. Let me first clean what I have already have. I'll make a simple chart first. What I'm going to do, this is the line chart, and I'm going to describe quickly on that what exactly this particular feature, what I'm going to show you, called anomaly detection. I'm just removing which I did earlier. So you have this visualization, which is very simple visualization, which we all do a line chart. On daily basis, what the revenue numbers are, it is just showing the trend over there, which is fine. But what you see, some of the days are very extraordinarily high or low. So on an average, they fall in a range, but all of a sudden on a particular day, either it goes down or it goes up, right? So these are extraordinary events which happened or something has happened. Now we don't know. So we need to figure out the reason that why this big number is coming up or why these spike is there, right? So in Power BI, a feature called anomaly detection. So I go here in my analytics pane and simply click on that find anomaly button over there at the bottom. And I just add this onto this visual and you will see automatically it will detect those anomalies, which is wherever the data point is going beyond that AI driven minimum and maximum expected value or the range, right? So the AI built within this feature is arriving through the algorithm that what is the expected value on that date, what is the minimum value was expected, what was the maximum value expected. And if it is going beyond that minimum and maximum, it is figuring it out that this is an anomaly detected within this particular date or particular data, right? Till here it is fine, but beyond that I need to know more. And what is that more? That why this has happened. So I double click on this data point and you will see another window opens here, which is going to analyze and give me the possible explanation of this particular data point or the anomaly what it detected, right? If I look at the bottom, it is saying the quarter is Q1. So again, not making much significance here, but I go a little down and it says category is urban. 37% is the weightage to that particular reason that, so AI determined that 37% chance whenever the category urban is, your revenue is going up. Or in this data point, because of urban category, the number has gone up. If I like this data point, I can simply add to that report to present it to my audience. So I have already done that. So simply adding this to my report and that become part of my report. So without me writing any formula using these AI feature, I was simply able to create quick report within, half an hour, 30, 40 minutes since I started, or I can build much more beyond that and make good use of it. So this is as far as making yourself smart, right? Or making yourself extraordinary. Now these features, think of, this is all the way they write their AI. But when we deal as a chartered accountant, as a finance professional, the kind of data we deal in, and if we use these kind of tools, make an impact to our organization or workplace, add value to the organization. Think of learning these tools, why not, right? If something makes you smarter, something makes you extraordinary, certainly you need to learn those tools. And on a separate note, these tools are now a must requirement. Most of the job posting, what I see in today's world on LinkedIn and all that, Excel, which used to be always a required skill, but nowadays I'm seeing that everyone is asking for Power BI skills. So guys, it is good time to start learning if you have not learned yet, especially you being young, you are just entering into the career. It will be good time, and you will be certainly become from ordinary to extraordinary from the day one you start learning these kind of tools. And this is my last slide, just having a picture, the passion which I have about Power BI so the t-shirt says I've got the Power BI. I'm doing this for last 5-10 years, or rather 2010 I started with Excel and then Power BI. I do a lot of consulting here in Dubai and then do training for different professionals. And very active on LinkedIn, so you can connect me on LinkedIn if you want. So that was it from my side, and I hope you found it useful. Any question, you can send it in the chat box or any other medium you want to connect with me. Always most welcome on that. So thank you very much, everyone who is attending the session or watching this live or later on watching on different media. Thank you. Pradeep, over to you.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, now you are audible, Pradeep.
No, this is Ranganathan. Pradeep, actually, he gave me a right at this nick of the moment. His charger has gone bust. So he's trying to come back to line again. But, well, it's my pleasure to give a hearty vote of thanks to you, CA Naveen Ajmera ji. In fact, I never heard about this Power BI. I always thought presentation by PowerPoint is the best one. But then this Power BI is far superior tool, it appears to me. And then very truly you said lack of knowledge of technology really bothers. Now if we have technology, we must use it. And technology does make life very easier, provided we know how to use them. And you very rightly said this Power BI of Excel, this automates 99% of routine tasks. Very true. I saw all these presentations, far impressive. Though you are not using the PowerPoint at all, the traditional PowerPoint, which also comes with a lot of features, but I never seen anything like this. You actually gave 4 mantras today. Never stop learning. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Be someone that your colleagues want to work with, and do what's required from the ordinary to the extraordinary to get your job done. I say all these are very important takeaways. And thank you so very much. I also learned a new thing today. And is it easily available, Mr. Naveen, this Power BI, or one has to buy it?
Yes. So let me thank you so much, Mr. Ranganathan, to concise the whole session. And I really appreciate, and not surprised to see when you say that I've seen it first time, and many of our finance community or chartered accountant community, they are in the same position, right? So I hope this opened up many thought process or many, kind of awake many of the finance professional and start learning on this. Coming back to your question on whether this is available. So I said in the beginning, the Power BI desktop, right? So I started creating the report in Power BI desktop when I started my demo, right? So that tool is free download tool, You can just now Google it for Power BI desktop download and you can immediately download it, right? And
very
a lot of
nice.
material available as far as learning is concerned on Power BI. So the development or everything what you want to do is happen on Power BI desktop. And then the license version or the cost where it come into the picture. So let's say Ranganathan, you created some report and you want to share it with your other colleagues within the organization, right? So either you send that same file to them where you will be exposing the whole data to them, right? Which you don't want. So in that case, you require a license version. So license version is a cloud version. So development still happen on the free tool. Then you publish it to your license version or the cloud version. From there, you share and collaborate with your other users. So this is how the Power BI works.
Very nice. Very nice and very, very impressive. I'll remember this for a long time. Thank you so very much, C. N. Naveen Ajmeraji. Now it is my pleasure to welcome C.A. Singaraju of Doha. Sir, it's a great pleasure having you again and sparing time for our young members. I also enjoy, sir. I'm not a young person at all any longer, but I also enjoy your sessions very much, including the debate competition you are there. You conducted the debate, no? Like one conducts a symphony orchestra. It was so beautiful the other day. Sir, let me just introduce you. I'll just take a minute of yours. Introduce you to our participants. C.A. Singaraju, a member of our institute. He currently working as a group CFO in Doha, Qatar. He started his career with a reputed firm in India and worked in various MNCs in leadership positions. Has experience of working in various sectors such as banking, manufacturing, trading, contracting, and retail sectors. Worked in senior management positions within 4 countries, namely India, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, and Qatar. He has been the big boss, but he is going to tell you how to boss your boss. So, I'm very interested to hear that. The stage is now yours, Mr. Singaraju.
So, am I visible and audible? Fantastic.
Yes,
thank you very much. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank the chairman of CMIB, Hansraj Chubji, and Durgesh Kabraji, the vice chairman, for their initiative. And of course, any initiative would not be successful when you don't have people like Ranganathan and Pradeep ji, who are like the wheels of the vision, who ensures that it goes forward and the message is carried across. So hats off to all of you for this wonderful initiative and have the satisfaction of shaping the career of the budding chartered accountants. Now, what comes to your mind when I say boss, your boss? Now, let me tell you a small story about myself. When I started my career, when I cleared my CA, I was saying, oh God, please give me a good job. I got a good job in a good company. And then my dad told me, son, work hard. You will become successful. I worked hard. You know the net result? I changed 5 companies in 10 years. So he was only 50% right. The second 50% was not correct. And I don't want to see your careers also take a similar path. Today, I'm going to tell you something which you will not find in any of the books, which based on my practical experience, what I've experienced, and believe it or not, if you follow what I tell you today, it will take you leaps and bounds. So listen carefully what I'm saying. And we are going to have a lot of fun. I'm going to tell you stories. I'm going to bother you. I'm not going to let you sleep, that's for sure. And I'm going to ask you questions in between. Ensure that you have a notepad and a pen with you, because you will be doing some exercises. This session is not for Ranganathan ji or Prabhadeep ji. This session is for you. So the amount of effort you put in, you will see the results. So when I thought to myself after clearing CA, I need a job in a good company. I got a job in a good company. Then I said, I want a big salary, big house. I got a big house. Then I said, I wish I have a big car. I got a big, high-powered bus to go to office. But slowly getting there, slowly getting there. Now, let me share with you some of my experiences. Why is it important to have a successful career? Because you think that, let me tell you one thing, getting a job is easy, but doing a successful job is where the real challenge begins. Remember, you have just taken the first step. Either you'll get into an employment or you might start something of your own. That's easy. But what is the next step you're going to take is extremely important for each one of you. For which, remember, each one of you are hugely, immensely talented. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But it's only the doubts which really kill you, which really take you aback. It is only the negative thoughts which will take you down. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to talk about, okay, first of all, I will ask all of you a question. I'll give you 1 minute to answer it. Just write the answer and keep it beside you. We will come to the answer at the end of the session. The question I have for each one of you is, how will you impress your boss? This is the question. I will give you 1 minute. Write down the answer. Keep it beside you. Okay, I think now 1 minute is over, so I hope you have written down your answer. Now, I'm going to take you, I'll tell you there are 4 types of people in this world. One is process oriented. What does it mean? Process oriented means someone who is very much, like when you work in an MNC company like PwC, like it could be EY, it could be Deloitte, it could be any of these MNC companies. The person is purely process oriented. Anything you have, he will say, where is the policy? So he's more process driven. They concentrate on process. And the second one is people driven. People driven are those people who are always open to, they have an open door policy. You can anytime enter into their office. They're willing to coach. And the third category is the political type. These people, you know the story where lions, how they mark their territory? They actually mark a territory by some unique smell or something. They mark the territory. They will not let anyone enter. When anyone enters, they know that they are entering into a danger zone. Likewise, these political people are someone who will mark their territory. And the fourth one is, it's called the systematic people. These people are someone who will always refer to the past. They will say, 1960, I used to do it like this. They are very concerned about rituals, ceremonies, traditions, and all that. So just keep this behind your mind. The 4 types of people. One is political, another is people-oriented, and other is process-oriented, and the 4th one is systematic people. Now, I'm going to take you through a live example. This was a famous case study at Harvard University. This was from a company called Sermaco. It had a founder whose name was Kurt. When he started this company, within a matter of years, he has grown the company into gigantic proportions. So huge. But this was a company in Brazil, during 1952, what actually happened is the sales started coming down. The business started coming down. He didn't know what to do. He also had a son. His name was Ricardo. Now, Ricardo was very much interested in paintings. He never had interest towards all the office work and all that. But then his father forced him to come into business. And when in-house, he was a perfect father. Kurt was a perfect father for Ricardo. But in office, he was a totally different person. He's like an employer and employee. So one day, Ricardo could not take it anymore. He said, I give up. I'm quitting. That's it. I'll pursue my passion. Then Kurt told him, okay, I'm going to do one thing. Now the company is not doing so well. I want you to take over the operations. But on one condition, whatever mistakes you want, do it right now itself. As long as I'm alive, I'm there to correct it. Otherwise, there's no one who can correct you. He said, okay. So he took over the company and he did something dramatic. Something which was, he turned around the company within a period of two years. Now, there was also a well-known management guru called Tom Peters. He also admired because he did not follow any of the leadership styles. He did something which was very unique. First and foremost thing, he removed all the managers of the company. Second, he said, if work needs to be done on time, I don't want any of you to wear your watches. He introduced the concept where more than the output, it is the outcome which is more important. Let me explain this. He's not concerned about you work for 8 hours, you work for 10 hours. He's interested in how much are you going to achieve? What are the deliverables you're achieving? He also had another one, which is, he said, we are not here to make huge profits. We are here to share the profits with the employees. And his sole motto was to ensure that the employees feel good at work. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh God, I wish I had such an employer. Because that's rarely the case. So that's what happened. So he turned around the company tremendously. So what do you think was the reason for his success? The reason for his success, it's not process oriented. Earlier, his dad used to do it by process oriented, but he was more people oriented. He focused on the people. Now, I'm going to share a chart with you, and I would like all of you to let me know some answers. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see. Advocacy
Okay.
inquiry, yeah.
Yeah, advocacy and inquiry. Now, I would like you to pause for a second and think about what is the difference between inquiry and inquiry. What's the difference between two? An inquiry means you're just asking for clarification. But an inquiry is when you ask someone with a reason to investigate, with a reason to find out, go to the root cause of it. That is inquiry. Now, you have on the x-axis the inquiry low, high, and the y-axis you have the advocacy, which is the low and high. Now, what sort of management you think? It will be low on inquiry and low on adequacy. What sort of management you think it could be? This is called the passive management. Passive management is low on inquiry and low on advocacy. Now, what about high on inquiry and low on advocacy? It means that the employer really takes care of his employees. He doesn't command them to high performance or anything like that. So that person is called the accommodative nature. The next one is, where do you think they have a high advocacy and low of inquiry? What category it could be? This is called the assertive people or the autocratic people. You know, whatever you name it. You know what it means, that, okay, this is my way or the highway. That's what they say. So this is that leadership style. And which is high on inquiry and high on advocacy. This is called the integrative approach. This is called the integrative approach, wherein you will get all that you ask for, but you need to achieve your results, which is expected. So now the question I have for all of you is, in your opinion, what do you think Ricardo strategy he adopted when he joined the company? Just think for a minute. What were the various stages? He was passive when he was working in the company. But when he took over, he initially tried to be accommodative to people. Listen to them. Be patient. And then he became assertive to some extent. And then the final step is integrative approach. He said, guys, you achieve it. You share the profits of the company. You are also a partner in the company. Now, my question to you is something for you to think about. When you take up your assignment, do some background work and find out what is the culture of the company you're joining in. Does it fit in, which stage? How is it going to be beneficial for you? It's extremely important. Now, I spoke about the political terrain, right? It's extremely important. Now, let me go to that slide. Mapping of the political terrain. This is extremely important. You remember the story I told you? My father said, work hard, you will be successful. I worked hard, but my juniors have overtaken me. That's when I've decided to change the company. So it's very important that you note these points, what is mentioned over here. In every organization, there is a channels of informal communication. You need to nail it. You need to find out what exactly are those. Now, these are not skills which you need to develop, no, nothing. This is there within you, each one of you. Now, remember, when you ask your daddy something, he does not give, what is your next option? You will go to your mother. No one taught you this, but you know what really works, what doesn't work as a child. So the same thing also applies in organizations. Now, you also need to find out the principal agents for political influence. Every organization, you are being impacted by several things, and you need to know exactly those lines of command and how exactly, which button when you press, you will get what. That is very important. And analyze the possibilities of mobilization of the internal and external forces. This is extremely important. It's not that your boss, okay, you report to your boss and that's about it. No, there's also something more. There are some people for whom your boss has his ears. So you can always pass the communication through those channels also. It need not be internal. It could be external. Now, this also happens on a country level. For example, sometime back I heard there were some side talks taking on between India and Pakistan, off the record. So it could be external also. So just be conscious of these. Now, anticipate the counter strategies others are likely to employ. It's very important that you have to think what could be if you're in their shoes, you try to empathize with them. What is it that they are going to do? Think about it and what counter strategies you're going to do. Now, the next one is networking. Networking is very important for any organization and building coalitions. Now, generally what happens is more often than not, our decision making is based upon reasoning and little on relationship. In fact, let me tell you something. You are only as good as your boss perceives you to be. You might be excellent in your technical skills and all that, but still, the impression you form on your boss' mind is extremely important. Now, identifying the relevant relationship in any organization, it's extremely important that you need to have the relationship with the right people at the right level. Let me give you an example. Like in my earlier company, it was a multinational company with 150 locations it was based in. And there was a CEO. So once I was sitting with him and he was telling me that even before he got the official appointment letter, there was one person who was already calling him and congratulating him. You know, that talks about knowing the right connections and having the network of information. That's extremely important. Assess who might resist and how strongly they will resist. Always don't think that it's a one-way direction. It's a two-way process. Whenever you do something, think for yourself that is there going to be any opposition, and prepare yourself well in advance. You also need to develop the lines with the potential opponents. Suppose in an organization there are counterparts, who are eyeing for the similar position. You need to identify and keep an eye on them. And most importantly, remember, be always close with your enemies. Your friends can be far off, no problem, but don't take your enemies out of sight. That's extremely important, because then at least you have a feeling that you have the situation under your control. Now, imagine that all these strategies fail. Then what will you do? Use the bargaining and negotiation skill. Now, bargaining is something which it's inbuilt in each one of us. Remember, as children, like what happens if your child doesn't eat food? What do? Immediate reaction. You give him your mobile and say, okay, come on, look on this and then have some food. So bargaining and negotiations is there within us since a very young age. Now, whenever you are in discussion with another party, remember that each one has a decision to make, and each decision is related to the other. It's not a one-way process. Now, the more player A controls the B, the more power he will have. If suppose you have a subordinate whom you don't trust completely, but still find out what his uncertainty is, then you have more control over him. And judicial use of threats. rather than sanctions. This is extremely important. Never ever use sanctions or anything, because remember, suppose as a child, if you actually thrash a child, next time what will happen? The child will say, the hell with you. After all, what you will do? You will only beat me up. That's it, right? I'm ready for it. No problem. So you must have a judicial usage of that thing, and making threats credible is very crucial. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to share with you another experience, another case study. Most of you might have heard about Xerox company, right? It's a very interesting story. Mulachi was appointed as to head the operations of Xerox. And when she actually took over, can you believe it? The company had 15.1 billion in debt and 154 million or something like that in cash. Now, when she took over the company, all of you know Warren Buffett, right? He told only one thing. She is going to be in war with the company. People have written off the company. They said, this is the worst curse of her life. At the market, each share was costing about $64 something. It has come down to $4. Imagine 90% reduction in the market capitalization. It was all doomsday. When she took over, within a span of about 3 years, she ensured that she turned around the company and met the target for 10 quarters continuously. What would be your reaction? Wow, how did she do it? It was so simple. All she did was she appointed a deputy CEO to take care of all the administrative work. And what she ensured is that she rolled up her sleeves and got into business. She got herself indirectly involved with the people, ensured that she actually arm twisted the bankers. I remember a famous quote by Donald Trump. He said, if you borrow $10 from the bank, you are at bank's mercy. But if you borrow about 100 million from the bank, then the bank is at your mercy. That's exactly what she has done. She arm twisted them and ensured that she got better terms and conditions. And she fixed real-time targets for the various employees and ensured that she encouraged the talent, whoever is really skilled, and she mainly concentrated on the efficiency part of it and ensured that the company turned around. Now, this was a classic example. Now, let me again share my screen. I will show you one chart and I would like you to tell me. Now, you see here you have in the x-axis you have the interest, conservative and ambitious. On the y-axis you have the power. Now, what would
The screen is not visible.
Screen is
Unable
not
to
visible?
see the screen. Yeah, not able to see the screen.
Okay, just 1 second. 1 second.
It is gray screen coming, but not PPT.
Okay. I will try once more. Can you see it now?
Yes, it is visible now. Yes. Power and interest. X-axis, Y-axis. Power and interest. Yes.
Yeah, power and interest. Now, suppose imagine. Now, I'm telling you this because to manage your boss, you need to know how he's thinking. Then it makes your job much easier. So now, suppose you're in a company where there are people with low power and low interest. Low power, low interest. Now, majority of the employees are concentrated in this block, right? So what would you do over there? You would actually give them a reason, explain to them, look, if you improve, the company improves. And that's how you win over them. What happens if someone is very ambitious and does not have power? What would you do? You would give them added incentives, inducements. You would do that to ensure that they have the interest in the company. Now, what happens if someone has high power and low interest in the company? For me, these people are the most disruptive people. They will not contribute anything, but they will only contribute to the mess of the company. So for these people, you bargain and you negotiate with them. You bargain and you negotiate. Now, there's another category which is who are very ambitious, but still who are very ambitious and they have a high power. What would you do? Now, in this case, what you will do is you will actually tell them that, look, you will threaten them. You will get them down saying that, look, you better get in line. Otherwise, there are other options. And then you offer them inducements. Now, it will take some time to do it, but then you have to ensure that they fall in line. Now, here is a table I'm showing to you about the 4 leadership styles that I've discussed with all of you. Now, first is the people-oriented. For people-oriented, you will have people who are, what are the main barriers for them? They're very anxious, and they always fear their incompetency. You tell them, oh, you've done a great job, excellent. No, I don't think so. They have that feeling of that there's something is lacking within them. They are very people oriented. And the leader, what is the leadership role? They're an excellent coach for people, and their strategy is training and support. That is what their strategy is. The second one is the structured. For them, what is the biggest barrier? When there is a confusion, when there's some situation which has not been anticipated, they feel a loss of direction. And as a leader role, what is the main role for a structured person? They are the architect. You ask them to make a good blueprint, good plan for achievement, they will do it for you. What is their strategy? They redesign and restructure. They are very good at it. Now the next one is the political. Political, what are the main barriers? When there's a conflict situation or when there's an opposing coalition. And so in these situations, this is really, they thrive on these things. And what is their role? They are more like a peacemaker. They like conflicts. Whenever there's a conflict, you have the politician coming in and settling it. But here you need to know, people who are politically oriented, they are very clear in the mind what they want to achieve. They will not tell it out, but they know exactly what they want to achieve. Now, for example, you have a boss who is politically oriented. In such a case, if you tell him that, okay, let's take X and we can increase the efficiency, he will tell you, get out. I'm not interested. But if you tell him, let us take X, we will save 2 days of output. We will save 2 days of work by employing him. Granted. So it's extremely important. The way you pass on your message to your boss is extremely important. First, find out which sort of framework he fits in, and the message has to be like in case of structured. If you go and talk to a structured person about an informal way or something, he will not listen to you. You have to talk in his language, which he understands. Then it will be easy to go through. And what is the strategy of a political person? He creates arenas and he manages the conflict. The fourth one is the symbolic one, where they always start comparing themselves to the past, and their role is more of a healer and a storyteller. And what is their strategy? Ceremonies and rituals. Now, the best example, what I could think of when I talk about symbolic, is Starbucks. Now, when Starbucks started, Schultz, he took over the company, and then there were about 2,900 outlets. And then he made someone else as a CEO, as this, the founder should not be a part of the management of the company. And then the company went into recession. Now the board said, no, we want to get it on track. They bought Schultz. So then he has written an article saying that commoditization of of services, because he wanted to create a customer's experience. So he has written a letter, and then he wanted to circulate to the top managers of the company. But somehow this got leaked to the press. And when it went to the press, he thought for a minute, he said, okay, I don't care, let it go. But what happened? The company's performance turned from bad to worse. People were thinking, oh my God, their morale was down, was sagging. They said, you have a leader who doesn't even know how to run a business? Then what Schultz did is, he said, okay, he closed down all the operations for a period of 7 days. The loss he incurred was 6 million or something like that. All the branches were closed. He summoned all the senior managers to one place. And what did he do in 7 days? He taught them how the coffee is grown and how the coffee is actually made. Because earlier they had some unique big drums sort of thing, and then he changed everything. He wanted the customers to have the visual experience. So he made people go from the scratch. He had 2-3 days, entire sessions, made them learn how it is. And then he also developed a vision, a coffee vision for the shareholders, for the partners, for the stakeholders. And then he had a gala night. He called everyone under one roof, which was size of about 6-7 football grounds in a huge arena with several counters with different themes, and where he actually spoke about the future, but still respecting the past. That's why he was symbolic leader. And what happened after that? Can you imagine? Within a span of 3 years, the profits have gone from 20 million to 100 million. That was the change he has brought in the business. So he has never forgotten his past, but still ensured that his vision is in line with the future. Now compare the same thing to Siddharth from Coffee Day in India. That was exactly the opposite. So it's very important that you have a good look at this 4 frames, because you will be doing a small exercise. Now, which frame, which to avoid? Now here, I would like you quickly to have a look at the screen. I have 4 different matters where there is an individual commitment and motivation is essential to the success. So in which case, which is the thing you're going to adopt? Which is the leadership style you're going to choose? And which is the ones you're going to avoid? where there is high individual commitment and motivation is essential. You have a people-oriented and symbolic leadership. And what you avoid is political and structured approach, where because individuals are involved. Now, where you have a technical qualification of a decision is very important. Which sort of strategy will you use? You use a structured approach, and what you avoid the people, political, and symbolic, where there's a high degree of ambiguity and uncertainty. So there's confusion, right? So what you use? You use the political and the symbolic. And what you avoid? People and structured approach. Conflict and scarce resources, it's also same. And in cases where you have to work from bottom up, where you have situations where it's important that, when digitization has been introduced in India, there was a lot of resistance from unions, from various quarters. What will happen to our jobs? What will happen? Then what is the strategy that you used? It's political, and you don't have people or symbolic or the structured ones. Now, here is the next slide. No, I think I've covered this. I think we have already covered this, right? Politician, peacemaker. Now, here there is a mix and match. I would like you to take a couple of minutes, and what I would like you to do is, under each of these various methods, I would like you to put the right ones. Which falls under which category? Same for what are the qualities of a leader and what is the leadership process. So I would like you to quickly, within 2 minutes, finish this. Because end of the day, I want you to be, well acquainted with these principles. It's extremely important. You have to rearrange them. Okay, I hope you have done it. Now I move to the next slide where you will have all the answers. The structured is more the analyst type, and their leadership process is analysis and design. The people-oriented are catalyst and servant, and the leadership is support to and empowerment. Political is advocate and negotiate, and symbolic is philosopher and dramatic. Now the question is, now that you have learned all the principles, you know how to deal with people, I have one very important question to all of you. ask yourself this question. Who is the boss? Okay, now if anyone has any questions, I'll answer before my final comments.
Yeah, but you had asked one question in the very beginning for which people had given answers.
Yeah.
That maybe perhaps the first question that you had asked was what
How
you
will
will
you
like.
impress your boss?
Yeah.
How will you impress your
boss?
boss?
Yeah. There are many comments which have come. Now various types of comments. So may I read it out to you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Sumati says carry out instructions very correctly. And Nazima says do more than what is required. And Marshall says punctual, regular, less leave taking. Ramesh says being social, being amenable, working without looking at the clock. And Shubham says imaginative, giving suggestions, asking questions and learning the work. Nagendra says minding one's own work, not indulging in gossiping or time wasting. Vinay says not playing any politics, keep a very serious face and be focused. These are the kinds of answers we have received.
Okay. Now, these are all great answers. There's nothing called a right or wrong, but end of the day, what really works is the correct answer. Now, imagine a situation. You are a captain of a cricket team. You are Virat Kohli, right? Now imagine all the players like Bumrah, Rahul, everyone writes these answers. This is what I will do to impress my boss, Virat Kohli, right? So will it be acceptable to Virat Kohli? Think for a while. This is extremely important. So after seeing my presentation, you might have learned that it's very important that you actually think 2 steps ahead of your boss. 2 steps ahead of your boss. So that when he thinks about something, you already have a solution. This is what you look for in your team members. So that for you will fetch you to far ahead places. That's very important because your boss priorities will become your priorities, which you have thought about it yesterday. Think about it. Trust me, it will work. So now I would like to tell you a small, one main important thing is, it's always important to be successful. You have to be positive at all times. Come what may, irrespective of the situation, whatever bad happens, still take it as an opportunity. Don't look at it as a disaster. So when you join an organization, your enthusiasm levels are so high. Keep it up. Never feel low. So if you want to be positive at all times, you want to have high energy levels, you want to improve your communication skills, I have a solution for you. Join Toastmasters or any public speaking. That will help you a lot. Like for example, when last time I conducted a session, there were some people who were very interested, and trust me, I can tell you those people, they have gone leaps and bounds because I formed a group and all of them joined the group, and whenever there's a meeting, everything, I put it in the group and they keep attending, and there's a marked difference in each one of them. And one more important thing is always have someone as a mentor. Someone to mentor you, because you will not make the same mistakes. Let people say learn from mistakes, but I don't want you to do that. Have someone who have already gone through the process, and they will show you a better perspective in life. They can be your friend, coach, philosopher, whatever it is. Be open to them. Take someone you trust, and believe me, you are on your way to success. So join and ensure that, because each one of you are unique in your own way. Each one of you has a talent which no one else has. Now, to realize it, to know swimming, you have to put your legs in the water, right? That's what I'm asking you to do. Who knows? Who knows what skill you have? Till you actually try out, that's the time you will know. And once you have passed your chartered accountancy, means you have persistence, you have perseverance, you have patience, you have dedication, you have passion. What else do you need to be successful in life? You have all the elements to be successful. So I will actually share here. Can you see my screen, Ranganathan?
Yes. Who is the boss? Yeah.
Yes. Now, these are my contact details. You can just take a snap of it, and you can keep in touch with me. And then I will, for whatever you want, some clarifications or something, I'll be more than happy to answer back to you. Because end of the day, my objective is only one thing: to see you being successful. Let me tell you a small story for this. There was a person who actually lost his right hand, and he wanted to learn judo. He wanted to be an expert in judo. He went to various coaches. They said, no, we can't teach you. Without hands, you're no good. He went to a second one. He went to a third one. When he went to a fourth one, he told him, okay, I will not only train you, I will make you a champion in judo. And true to his promise, he made him a champion in judo. You know why? Because in judo, you didn't actually grab each other, right? But he didn't have a right hand, so people cannot grab him. Now, while the other coaches seen his disabilities, here was a person who actually seen his abilities. That is the difference. Now, if you give a potter a crooked plate, he will be so happy because he can make it perfect. So, ladies and gentlemen, whenever you come with the difficult times, look at the positive side of it. And that is where, because if everything is perfect, they don't need professionals like you and me. They can take anyone from the road to do the job. Because it's difficult, because they know you can do it, that's why it has come to you. So in times of, always be positive, optimistic, and most importantly, more difficult the situation, keep the smile on your face going. And that will create a purpose for which you are in this world. Thank you very much. So that's all from my side. Over to you, Mr. Ranganathan.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a very wonderful session. Since we are left with 7 minutes, sir, so I'll just ask one question whether you can explain this. Sir, in corporate world, there is an attrition which happens. But then there could be some of our the CA young members could be faced with a situation where their bosses is changing very frequently. Take the ICAI for example. We have a fixed tenure of a chairman, whether he is the president of the institute, or regional council, or branch, or even a chapter.
Right.
So the person is a boss for 1 year. Although we have set act, we have regulations, the policies are all there, the direction we have to take are all there, but the strategy changes. Like you defined 4 types of leaders. We get 4 types of leaders: people oriented, political oriented, strategists. We have all types of leaders who come and change, but ultimate goal is the same, but strategy is very different. What will you advise an employee who is in a kind of an organization where his boss changes very frequently? Then how does he boss the boss?
Thank you very much, Ranganathan. That is a very practical question, and I can answer very confidently because I have been a victim for the similar thing. In my earlier company, when I was in Nexans, we had a CEO who only actually had to be a French guy. So I worked in the company for about 10 years, and we had the CEO changing after 2 years. After 2 years, it changes. Now, initially, as you rightly said, it's extremely difficult because you work in a certain set of processes, and then the next guy comes. He says, no, I don't want this. Like a change in government from BJP to Congress. Whatever is there before is totally wrong, discarded. So what the key over here is adaptability. Adaptability. Adjusting your sails in line with the wind. That is what I would say is the key. Because ultimately because as I said, you are only as good as your boss perceives you to be. So my only suggestion to the various people who are watching this program is, when you join an organization, for first 1 month, keep your mouth shut. Don't talk till you know the exact scenario. Once you know it, there you have it. You are the boss. And the key lies and one more main important thing is, very important, never, ever, ever think negative of anyone or speak bad about anyone. That is extremely important. Because for me, personally, I always had this philosophy. I did not want even the office boy, the guy who was giving me tea, coffee, to point a finger saying that Raju was like this. That was always my principles. This is where, you have values and things where you should not think bad about anyone, ill of anyone, speak about anyone, nothing. Be always positive. And let me ask you one thing. You don't need to tell the answer, but think about it. Suppose if I say Agra, what comes to your mind? Suppose I say about Nagasaki and Hiroshima, what comes to your mind? When I speak about Nazi, what comes to your mind? My next question is, when I say Ranganathan, what comes to your mind? I mean not Ranganathan in specific, but your name. When I say it, what comes to your mind? What is the legacy you are leaving for the people behind? That is important in life. It's not how much you earn, what car you're driving, what house you're living. It doesn't matter. What legacy you're leaving behind is extremely important. And the key to that is you have to reach out to people and seek help where it is required. Don't be hesitant. There's someone you have never seen, or don't think twice for interacting. No harm in throwing a stone. Don't be like me. Like where the mistake I made is to my girlfriend, I never told that I love her. And I lost her. Now, so I don't want you to be in a similar situation. Reach out to people is extremely important and be positive. I'm sure all the success is yours. And adaptability is the key. I hope, Ranganathan, I've answered your question.
Perfectly well, sir. Perfectly well.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much, sir. It was a very wonderful
Thank you.
session. Out of the 4 types of leaders that you talked about, the message which I got is that after all, we have to deal with people. So the compassion, the care, people-centric is what is most important, I feel personally. Very recently, I saw one interview of Mukesh Ambani. The interviewer asked him that what are the qualities you look in your manager? Technical, administrative competency. He says all those things can be taught while they are at the job. I'll teach him the skills. That's not an issue at all. What I see him in is he should have the power to take decisions. Have the courage to take decisions. Win the trust of his peers and subordinates. Be caring and compassionate. That's all he said. Nothing else he said I expect. Remarkable. And what you had concluded almost coincides with what Mukesh Ambani says, that what he expects from his managers, how they should deal with.
Yeah.
Fantastic, sir. You started with 4 types of bosses. As I said, that maybe the highest vote will that my boss will get, who is people oriented maybe. But I don't know, sometimes in some organizations, people oriented people are not successful. Process oriented or people are political oriented, they could be more successful. But the last thing which you said, who leaves a legacy behind? I think people oriented people, they leave a good legacy behind. Like you said, even you won't want the chaiwala also to say that you are like that or you are like this. Why should even a chaiwala carry adverse view about his boss?
Right. Right.
Mapping of political terrain, networking and building coalitions, bargaining, negotiations, dealing with people, different traits of leaders. Very well, sir. In 1 hour, you really covered everything. Not only you covered how to manage a boss, you also covered how to become a good boss. Thank you so very much. Wonderful session.
Just one point is that I think, each one of these is because no one can change Raju. Raju has got his own unique thing. Now, even symbolic is important. Like Schulz was a symbolic person who never forgot his tradition or something. So, it's a mix of, you cannot change it, but you have to change yourself in line with the leadership style.
True.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time, sir. It was a wonderful session. We look forward to having you once again sometime in the near future. Thank you, sir, and bye-bye. Good night. Good night, all the participants. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.